All right, so here's my new enhanced animation. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. This is the third person um, game. And what I've done is I've added, let's see, in the animation for the character, I've added a branching condition that says if I'm moving to to do one thing, and if I'm not moving, to do something else. Okay. And so that little branch is sort of in the event graph is just basically setting a flag. Am I moving or not moving? All right. And then in the anim graph, this is starting to get a little bit more complex now. But basically, you've got um, you've got the basic locomotion, which was the state machine we created earlier, which is the idle walk, the jumping, the landing. Okay. Then that's plugged into a cache, and the cache is holding that called the logo cache. Then the logo cache is loading in to something called the slot working slot, and then that's generating a working cache. The local cache and the working class are also going into a layered blend per bone, and it's splitting at the spine bone based on that in moving flag. So what that means is if the character is moving, only the top half of the body will perform this working um, pose. And if the character is not moving, then the whole body performs the working pose. And then that's all being driven to the output pose. All right. In the third person character blueprint, what I did is I've set up the left mouse button and the right mouse button to be playing the same animation montage, but two different sections. The left mouse is doing something called work effects, and the right mouse button is doing something called kneel and work. Um, and that's being driven in this thing, which is the work on device montage is what it's called. So here's the fax work of fax machine, and here's the kneel and work, and these are basically two different animation clips that are loaded into here, and they're just split in sort of a timeline, but the timeline is not necessarily linear. You can trigger either of those things. That doesn't have to be sequential. So these are two separate animation clips that are playing based on those right mouse, left mouse clicks. All right, so then I put a couple little boxes in here to represent things that the character could work on. All right, so here I am. If I'm walking, basically, the character will walk, and notice that he's already started to work on the fax machine. That's because the left mouse button is sort of the start mode for the game. So you can see him do a little fax thing there. Anyway, he's going to walk, do a little jump, and land. And let's say he wants to work on this little box here. So I could right click on this little box, and he's going to kneel down and right click and basically work on that. So every time I right click, he's going to do that no matter where he is. And notice that says whole body because he's not moving right now. So every time I right click, he does this same little animation montage. So it's a partial montage basically. All right, now if he comes over here to the fax machine and then I left click, he's going to work the fax machine. Okay, so he's sort of doing this little fax machine movement now. You can see him doing that. All right. So notice he can still do the fax machine as he's walking. And then when he sort of stops, if I right click and then start moving, you can see he's still doing the bend down and work on that other thing. So when I right click, he's bending down and working on something, but only above the spine. All right, so he goes in the door and let's say he's going to work on this little light. And if I left click, he's going to work on that object there. You can see him doing his little work on thing. And then when he's done, I can sort of move away. All right, so this is all based on that other animation file where I substitute this whole character, but these are additional controls now where I can have him perform functions using, in this case, left or right mouse clicks, but they could be keyboard clicks if I wanted. So let's say I wanted him to come up to a foundry machine and a lathe or something and do a lathe, I could type L on the keyboard and have him load a lathe animation and then have that animation, go. Um, so it's kind of wild.